Hi, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. In 1968, a very cute young singer decided to make the big move from Adelaide to Melbourne to front the fabulous Town Criers. Well, little did he know that 4 decades later, he'd still be wowing audiences in his midlife crisis. Now, it's not his midlife crisis, that's the name of his band. Would you please welcome Barry Smith? Hey Baz.
Hi, Wen.
How are you?
I'm not bad, and you?
How's midlife crisis going?
Yeah, it's working. We've been working for about, since 2006, I think, so what's that, 6 years?
Going very well. You don't look like you're going through any crisis. You actually look very, very, very cute.
No, I can't complain.
Still
no
cute.
At the moment. No.
The Town Criers, of course, huge band. But before that, tell us about growing up in Adelaide, because I know that you actually grew up with a couple of other rock stars. Daryl Cotton, Big Birtles.
Yeah, well, in fact, I went to the same high school as Daryl Cotton, and I was captain of the cricket team, in fact, the under-14 cricket team, which Daryl was a part of.
Okay, let's go way back. As you said, you went to school with Daryl. Your family, were they musical?
My mother sang a bit, yeah, but she was pretty shy, and she just used to sing at pubs and stuff, but she never was like a professional singer. They'd be there and people would get her up to sing. You know, you need a front-end loader to get Mo up to sing though, but she's very shy.
So how did you end up as a front man in a band?
Well, when I was a kid I played drums, and then I sort of got bored with that, and I decided I liked bass and I wanted to get into a band quickly, and I thought bass is probably the easiest instrument. It's only 4 strings. You know? Quickly.
You were in a rush to become a pop star.
Once the Beatles come out, I thought I've got to be part of this. And being a shy boy and you know, not having too many girlfriends, I thought this is probably the easiest way to go to get one.
I just love the way that every one of you guys has actually said I was shy, didn't have any girlfriends, and this was the best way to go about it.
It was, yeah. Well, it was fairly obvious, I thought, and so it kind of worked, and I naturally loved music, and I took up bass and had a few lessons at the Adelaide College of Music, and then I think it got to a point where I was in a band and we had a singer. I was playing bass, singing the odd harmony. One night we're doing a gig just out of Adelaide, and the singer was absolutely shit-faced in the back of the car, and we couldn't get him out of the car. We couldn't even wake him up. So I remember the guitar player called Alan Goldring said, "Baz, do you know the words of the song?" And I said, "Some of them." Anyway, so the show had to go on, and but we realised that our singer then, whose name was John Scott, had no microphone stand, so we used to use a handheld mic, and we needed a mic stand, another mic stand. So I remember going to the back of the hall and into the kitchen and got a mop and a bucket, and you know, that did us the mic, tied the mic, squeezed the mop and tied the mic to the stand. So that was my first gig as a singer. So we got through it, and then I think after that the guys decided that John had to go, and they voted me in. So which was kind of daunting, because I was hiding behind John and the bass, and you know, you're stripped of both these things, and you're out in front, and you kind of, you know,
on your own.
Yeah.
And how long before you actually stopped playing the bass and?
Oh, well, I stopped straight away.
Okay.
And I had to actually sell my bass because I had an appendix operation, and I had to pay for that, and that's when I sold it to B, the bass, and he had it for a while, and I think until he came to Melbourne. In fact, when I got a phone call from the Town Criers, and it was from the bass player and then I think the manager, and they said, "Look, we're looking for a singer. A guy called Robbie Taylor from the James Taylor Move had recommended me, but apparently, and if anyone's seen Robbie Taylor, I owe him a lot. Thank you, Robbie." They were doing a gig with the Town Criers one night, and I think the James Taylor Move's guitar was stolen. They said, "Look, can we borrow yours?" And Sam lent them his guitar, and they said, "Thank you very much, if we can do you a favour." And they said, "Look, we're looking for a singer. Do you know anyone?" And Robbie Taylor said, "Look, I know a guy in Adelaide." So after that, they checked with Daryl Cotton. They said, "Do you know this guy Barry Smith?" And Daryl said, "Oh yes, I never thought of him. He'd be good if you could keep him out of the pubs." The Zoot arrived probably only a few months before I come over. And so I looked them up. I think the day I arrived, I just gave Beeb a call, and he said, look, that they're actually doing a rehearsal at Birdie's now to go to Vietnam. Come down and meet them. So do you want to come down? And so he drove me to Birdie's, and I just, introduced me to them, and they said, do you want to get up while you're here? And I didn't really want to get up because I wanted to, choose the songs that I could do the best. And we did a couple of songs which I wasn't happy with. I couldn't belt it out and stuff. And I think then after that we went back to them. I think I was staying at the John Batlin Motor Inn or something, and we went back there with acoustics, and I still wasn't happy with what I'd done, but they kind of said, yeah, I think, you'll be okay. And shortly after that we had a proper rehearsal, and I said, look, do you know When a Man Loves a Woman and Every Little Bit Hurts? And they said, oh yeah, so we did that, and those songs you can sort of belt out.
Yeah, and you were really confident doing it.
And I was confident doing that, and I thought if they don't like this, they're not going to like anything. And as we were doing it, they were kind of smiling at each other and going, yeah. And then
this will work.
Yeah, and then they just kind of said, yep, that was it.
The rest was history. We'll be back soon.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My guest is the gorgeous now, Barry Smith. We were just discussing the fact that you'd come from Adelaide to Melbourne and auditioned to become the lead singer in the Town Criers. Now, the Town Criers were already established, weren't they?
They were established in Melbourne. They hadn't toured interstate, but they were established in Melbourne, yeah. And I remember the first gig I did was straight onto Uptight. And
so you were thrown in at the deep end, really?
I was thrown in at the deep end, and I was nervous enough, but straight onto national TV. I mean, and the funny thing was I was coming over to Melbourne for that long weekend anyway, and I'd packed enough clothes for the weekend, and of course when I did the rehearsal or the audition, I suppose, they said, look, we want you straight away, because I said, when do you want me? I've got to go home. They said, want you straight away, and I'm going, oh my God, I've only come for the weekend and I haven't got enough clothes. And I remember ringing my mother saying, Mum, you're going to have to pack in my job. And so they said you have to, the first gig's Uptight. And I thought, oh gosh.
Did the first thing you think of is, oh my God, what am I going to wear?
Exactly.
Yeah, you did.
And fortunately, Beeb and Darryl had put me up in a flat they were living in Beaconsfield Parade, which had 2 bedrooms and about 1 mattress room in Beeb's bed. I think, and whoever got home first got the mattress kind of thing. But anyway, I borrowed Darryl's shirt to do Uptight, and eventually I bought some more clothes, I think. But
the fact that you were thrown straight in,
yeah,
like in at the deep end, and you were on that show.
I was absolutely. I was
going to say, what was it like when you got to Adelaide with the band? I mean, all of a sudden, Adelaide boy's a huge star.
Well, first of all, I'd say that we ended up doing Uptight frequently, and then Happening 70 the following year, and Uptight was 68, 69. Following year was Happening 70, and we became resident band, and we did a lot of shows on Happening 70 and Uptight. But apparently one of the cleaners threw out or burnt all the clips, and the only one that left of the Town Criers is the one you can see on YouTube now, which was in fact my very first performance, and I look like one of the Thunderbirds.
I'm going to go home and Google it now. You realise that everyone's going to. They'll just say, "Hang on, during the break, let's quickly go and Google Baz."
Well, it was. I didn't have the guts to ask for a microphone for a prop. I was just this shy kid, and I didn't say anything.
What am I going to do with my hand?
Yeah, so I just kind of tried to dance, and I just looked like a Thunderbird. So unfortunately, that's the only clip that was saved of the Town Criers. But there's a few other ones I got from ABC, Dick Williams hit scene and stuff, which are a lot better. But, because I was a little more confident then and more animated. They had another song, Unexpectedly, which was. In fact, financed by Dr. Jeffrey Edelston, who also financed Everlasting Love, and
that's an amazing fact, because I think having spoken to you a few times before, just when we've been out and about, that you mentioned Jeffrey Edelston, and of course most people would have had no idea that Jeffrey Edelston was involved in the music scene.
Yeah.
Or was it music and production and things like that?
Well, he financed some singles, and I might also add that the Town Criers never got a royalty cent. But yeah, to answer your question, going to Adelaide, we I didn't get back to Adelaide for 6 months. We had a gig in Perth, and then on the way back we dropped into Adelaide, and we came to back to Melbourne. But I remember we left Perth and we got to Adelaide, and I was really shitting myself because we were playing at the club we used to go to every Friday, probably Saturday nights and stuff. So I remember the boys were staying in a motel and I was staying with my mother and father, and I think I was having a beer with my father, and they went out for the night, and I think I must have had a little too many, and they come to the Criers come to pick me up to do the gig, and I was flat. They knocked on the door and they couldn't get in the door, and there was no answer, and I think they saw me through the window, and they somehow got in. I think they got through a window, and they saw me. They thought I was dead. So Chris, the drummer, starts immediately giving me mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and I woke up very quickly. So I got up to do
no use asking how the gig was. You wouldn't remember.
I don't remember too much. I just remember I was absolutely shitting myself.
So you don't remember all of that good stuff, like the guys that used to hang out with you all coming up and wanting your autograph, and the girls and.
No, I don't remember any of it. I just remember I was crapping, and I think it was a gig that I look back on and say that was pretty damn ordinary.
You know, before when you were talking about people would back finance to make records and things like that, and you didn't make any money.
Yeah.
I'm presuming the thing was that obviously if people financed something, they would take all of the money back that they put in before you saw anything.
Yeah, I think so. And when we got our own production company and went to Festival, that was after Dr. Jeffrey, we saw royalties then, yeah. But in Australia at that time, royalties weren't that big. You couldn't live off them. Writers got more, so Sam made more, and that's fair enough. But the rest of us, of course, is split 4 ways.
And so you just relied on working we didn't, very hard.
We didn't even think about the royalties, and I don't think the boys minded not getting a royalty out of Everlasting Love because it put the band on the map, and you had to have a record, almost every 6 months or whatever. And if you
at least.
Yeah, at least probably maybe 3 or 4 months. So if you once you're off the charts, people just forgot about you. So you had to. It was most important to keep records coming out and be on the charts. But sadly, after Love Me Again, Sam wrote another song which was in the same vein as Love Me Again, but I thought it was actually better, and recorded it better. It was a song called Living in a World of Love, and that came out just as it came out. There was a record ban.
So okay, it was very, very tough when the record ban, or it was radio ban, wasn't it?
Radio ban, yeah.
When that all stopped, what happened to the band? You were still together?
Yeah, we're still together, and we a lot of bands, as I said, split up. We continued. We did another couple of singles, and then I think shortly after that, Sam, our guitar player who did the writing, basically became Seventh-day Adventist and couldn't work on Friday sunset to Saturday sunset.
When we come back from the break, which we'll take in a minute, I just wanted to talk to you about the fact that a lot of the bands during those days were very much costumed, or it was pretty schmicko, wasn't it? And everyone looked pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all kind of liked clothes, and we all wanted to look pretty snappy, and I've come from the mod scene too, so I like that sort of mod thing.
Might have been a throwback from when you had none. We'll take a short break and be back soon.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My guest is gorgeous, still gorgeous. You like that, don't you?
Not as gorgeous as you.
Barry Smith. Barry.
And doesn't she do a fantastic job, ladies and gentlemen? It's my favourite show. This show.
Thank you.
I might say.
Allow me to give you that little token of my appreciation. Just to sort of touch on what happened to what you were saying, interestingly enough, if I can get that out. almost bubblegum. You said that the bands that were sort of all dressed up and looked really gorgeous were labelled by some idiot as bubblegum, and the name sort of stuck, unfortunately.
Look,
that's funny, isn't it?
It really demeaned it. It demeaned the music and it demeaned the bands. I don't know who did it, whether it was Molly or who it was, but anyone dressed up that looked a bit pretty and nice outfits.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
And the other guys, the heavier guys, were soul, but most of them weren't soul.
And it did demean. It did demean the whole.
And blokes sort of
scene.
weren't interested in bands who were kind of dressed that way. Although a lot of them now admit they used to love that, but it was uncool.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some fantastic bands, so-called bubblegum bands, and a lot of them came from the same roots as the heavier bands with rhythm and blues. When the heavier bands come in, and I remember talking to Duncan Maguire from Doug Parkinson about that, we could see the end coming because a lot of these bands were just head down here and scruffy jeans and playing 5-10 minute guitar solos. And I was bored with it, and I thought, women don't like that, and a lot of blokes don't. They probably pretend it, but after a while, dances just close down like a snowball effect. And so it was kind of the beginning of the end, and then everything sort of from then went into pubs.
That's right. It moved out into the great big, into the big bars.
Yeah,
and stuff
so
like
dances were all over.
So it was sort of an end of an era in a funny way, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what happened there. Then moving on, say a decade later, I remember a band called the Fabs.
Yeah.
That were together for something like...
About 14 years.
14 years. Tell us about that.
Well, that started around about 94. Just came out of a band called Amazing Flames. We culled the band and got some different players, and we had residency at the Golden Gate Hotel in South Melbourne for about 6 years. And I think one of our favourite people who used to play with Wendy and the Rockets, Joey Amenta, was with us for about 5 years.
I hope I'm going to ring up Joey and make sure he watches this show, because we call him affectionately Joey Demented. He's an amazing musician.
He's fantastic.
An amazing musician.
And there was a lot of good players went through that. Randy Bullpin from Mondo Rock.
You would have had everyone wanting to join the band.
Yeah, so that went for 14 years, yeah. And someone said that I think one of the guys from the agency said the poker machines are coming in now. That'll be really good for the band.
Yes, I heard that too.
Not. And now, sadly, with these venues with the poker machines, generally they just have a solo artist or a duo and probably pay them peanuts and make the money in the pokies. And if people want to dance, they can dance to that. And
well, you can only be a solo or a duo because you can't have any music that's louder than the machine going ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
Look at. Have you ever seen such pretty boys?
This was a book that was written by the original singer Andy and myself. There's Andy there, the very first lineup, which lasted about a year, I think, and then the lineup with myself, which went for about 4 years, and
who I know.
That's Sam. Who's Sam Dunnans, aka Melamed, who is there also. Sam was the major writer.
That's right.
Did Love Me Again and Living in a World of Love and a couple of others. Mark DeMojo, the bass player, who's there. Chris used to be the drummer, who's there.
Yeah.
So these two, Andy and George Katz, left just before I joined.
Hey, do you keep in touch with the guys?
Yeah, we catch up usually at Christmas time and have a meal somewhere, have a lunch.
I'd buy it just for the picture on the front.
Yeah, I chose that picture.
I'm such a groupie. You hold it better. So anyway, that can be purchased?
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
So if you'd like any info on that, just go to our website, which is www.wrokdown.com. Or do you have a website?
No, we don't.
Baz. Okay, go to Wrokdown if you need to know about that. So Barry, in the intro I mentioned Midlife Crisis, and of course I didn't mean that you're having one. That's the name of your band. Tell us about that.
Well, that was formed, as I said, in 2006. I think, I just got back from overseas, I think, and yes, I was rang by the bass player to ask if I was interested in joining. I wasn't doing anything, so they were doing some gigs. So it's basically 60s and 70s music, and we're doing gigs around Melbourne.
So if anyone wants to know where you're performing, there is a Midlife Crisis website or somewhere people can find out where you're working?
There is a Midlife Crisis website, but I don't think it's tended to very often.
Well, if you want to find out where Barry's working and the boys, you can also look that up on the Wrokdown website. I want to thank you so much for coming in. Love the shirt.
Thank you.
Love the shirt.
It's been a pleasure to be on the show. I'm glad that you asked me to do it because it's my favourite show, as I said.
Well, thank you very much, and you're one of our favourite guests.
Thank you.
Such a group. Would you please thank Barry Smith? We'll see you next week.